YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy, back again with another video, the Trap Check-In. In today's video, we are going to discuss the old age question in America in real estate. Should you rent or should you buy? What should you do? Interest rates are a little high, inflation is still going on. What is your best option? We're gonna deep dive into the numbers, all right? What makes more sense for you and your family? We got this project done in 2.5 weeks. YouTube was good. It's definitely.
I'm having a blast.
We're giving y'all great content. Are y'all not entertained? All right, folks, so that is the question. Should you rent or should you buy? Now, it really depends. Depends on several things. Depends on where you live. Depends on what your income is. It also depends on what your personal goals are for your life. Now, let's deep dive into these numbers, all right? Let's look at some numbers, let's look at some facts, and let's talk about renting and buying. All right, so let's start with renting. Now, typically when you rent, what do you gotta do? You gotta have at least a 620 or a 600 credit score. That's number one. So most landlords are gonna require a good credit score. Doesn't have to be outstanding. You really don't need a 700. As long as you got a 620, you can get your foot in the door, all right? That's one. Number two, all right? Firstlasting Security, all right? So what does that mean? So you're gonna need first month rent, last month rent, and a security deposit to move in, all right? So those are really the main criteria to move in when you're renting. Now, let's deep dive into some numbers. So I did some research for y'all, all right? I went and did some research and I looked up a few numbers. The average rent in America right now, the average payment for rent is $1,794 a month. So $1,794 is the average payment for rent in America according to the New York Times. So let's just round up and say $1,800 a month, all right? So let's do a little math. We're gonna round up and say $1,800 is the average payment for rent in America, which sounds about right. We need Firstlasting Security, all right? So 1,800 times 3. That's $5,400 to move in, all right? $5,400, okay? Now, what are the pros, what are the cons? Here are the pros. So, you move in, you get a lease, you don't need to put a ton of money down, and your credit score doesn't have to be a 700, all right? But guess what? Guess what the cons are? The landlord can tell you to hit the road once the lease is up. Guess what else he can do? He can raise the rent. Guess what else? If you break something, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have to depend on the landlord to do the repairs, all right? So those are the cons of renting. And you're also paying someone else's mortgage. You're paying down his mortgage, building up his equity, all right? Essentially, you're putting wealth and money in his pocket every month, all right? Those are the cons of renting. Personally, myself as a landlord, just to speak on my own personal experience, I love my tenants. Why? They put cash flow in my pocket every month, and they also pay down the mortgage on my properties, which essentially builds up my equity, which also, guess what? Builds up my net worth, all right? So those are the pros and cons of renting. Now, let's talk about buying. Should you buy? Me, personally, I have a real estate background, a realtor background, I'm a real estate investor, I'm a house flipper, I'm a landlord. I am all for buying. Why? I'm gonna explain to you. For one, okay, you own the property, not restricted by any laws, any landlord rules. You own the property. If you wanna paint the house orange with pink trim, you can do it. Once you buy, that property is yours, all right? So guess what? Versus somebody renting, they're not building up any equity, all right? I buy a property, it appreciates. Okay, so hypothetically, let's say I buy a house for $200,000. I live there for 10 years. I pay the mortgage down to $170,000. Guess what? Over that 10-year period, that house appreciated to $300,000. I decide to move. I'm gonna sell it. When I sell the property, I'm gonna make a net profit. Guess what? When I go to sell my property, I don't have to pay a capital gains. You know why? Because of the capital gains rule, all right? As a single person, you can make up to $250,000 on the sale of a property and have to pay no taxes. As a married couple, the threshold is $500,000, all right? So that's really the #1 pro for buying versus renting. You're gonna build up equity, you're gonna pay down the mortgage, and you're also gonna start building wealth. But guess what else I can do with this property now that I bought it? I can decide, you know what, I wanna move. I can rent out the joint, all right? So I did a little research also on buying. According to Quicken Loans, they did a survey. The average monthly mortgage payment is $1,768 per month, all right? That's the average in the United States, $1,768. Sounds about right. So if you do some math, depending on what market you live in, if you got a 3-bedroom, more than likely you can rent the place for a little higher in cash flow. And you start building up, all right? I can refinance, I can do a HELOC, I can pull money out. I got so many options once I own a property, but when I rent, I'm boxed in. I'm boxed into a lease and I'm at the mercy of my landlord, all right? So let's recap. When you rent, you don't really need a high credit score. You need Firstlasting Security. Now, guess what? The lease is up. Landlord can tell me to hit the road. Versus buying, I can do a FHA, put down 3%. I don't need a 700. All I really need is about a 640. I can move in. But guess what? I got endless options. I can rent this place out. I'm going to build equity up every month to pay down my mortgage. I can rent it out. So many things. I can refinance, pull out a HELOC, so many other options, all right? My house will appreciate over time. Folks, this is America, all right? America was built on the foundation of real estate. Get you a piece. Don't sit and wait. Don't complain about the interest rates. Interest rates go up and down. Right now, interest rates are about 6.5. I guarantee they're gonna drop. You buy a house, 6.5 interest rate, you refinance once they drop, all right? All right, guys, that concludes another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you gained some value. And I hope you figured out what's the best decision for you personally, all right? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We appreciate all the new subscribers. Our platform is growing daily. We love it. Again, any questions? Drop it down in the comment section and hit the like button. We appreciate all the new subscribers, all the new love. Our platform is growing. Thank you.